In the last 4 years, I've made 1.6 million across Upwork, Fiverr, and Toptal, and reached the highest possible status on every single platform. At one point, I was the #1 earner worldwide on Upwork. Crazy, right? In this video, I'm gonna help you pick which platform to start on and share the secrets that only the highest earning freelancers know on exactly how to replicate my success for yourself. What's up, guys? I'm Evan Fisher, freelancer turned founder of Unicorn Capital. To date, my companies have helped startup founders raise over $3 billion from celebrities, top-tier venture capital funds, and angel investors. Back when I started looking at freelancing, honestly, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I was fumbling around. I didn't have any guides to tell me which direction to go in. But what I did know was if I'm gonna be doing it, I needed to make money ASAP. So in the past 4 years, I've tried out over a dozen platforms, assessed their strengths and weaknesses, and nailed down where there's money to be made. I've narrowed the choices down to Fiverr, Upwork, and Toptal, and my goal is to help you figure out what's the right platform for you to freelance on. I'm gonna score each of them on 5 main categories: jobs, clientele, payments, ease, and the magic X factors that make each platform unique. I'm even going to share some advanced level secrets that I'm almost certain that you've never heard before. But first, leave me a comment down below and ask me your #1 question about Upwork, Toptal, or Fiverr. First up in this battle royale is Fiverr. You've probably heard of these guys, but I bet you don't know how much of a heavy hitter they really are. They have over $700 million worth of gross merchant volume in 2020, and they're growing 60% a year. They've got over 4 million buyers, so it's a pretty enormous marketplace. On the job side of things, you post your gig, you hope for the best. Jobs are typically low paying, though there are some people that are doing tons of business and getting great rates on Fiverr. There are also some people who have made tons of money on Fiverr. On the advertising side of things, you can advertise your gigs on Fiverr and boost volume. That's something you can't really do on other platforms. That makes it a little bit special. On the client side of things, according to Fiverr, the average buyer spends $226. The name Fiverr really doesn't help them. My experience has been that Fiverr clients have just been marketed to for a really long time for the platform's cheapness. And so unfortunately, again, in my experience, you can have like a lot of really big client headaches here. That still applies. On payments, disputes are at the staff's discretion. So you do have the service chargeback risk. What does that mean? That means that if a client comes to Fiverr and says, oh, this person didn't do what I asked them to do or paid them to do, then you are at risk of not getting paid. Also on the payment side of things, Fiverr takes 20%, so it's a pretty big cut across the board. And they also take forever to pay. On ease, big points to Fiverr. They're one of the easiest platforms to get initially set up on, and if you're pricing your gigs right, then you can win business pretty quickly. Their magic X factor is they're extremely accessible. Some people are making a lot of money with their gigs too, so they get a couple of points in those categories also. So some of the pros of Fiverr is you can promote your gigs. It's great for people who are just starting out outside of the US, and it's probably the fastest to get started, and repeatable projects can mean tons of volume, which then can translate into a very large pile of earnings. On the con side of things, clients can be tough to deal with, especially in getting reviews. We're talking about reviews-driven platforms, so when you've got to follow up with people a bunch of times just to drag a review out of them, you need to do a lot of research to figure out what is actually working, what is of a significant enough size gig. Are people going to pay more if you are better, or is it just a low price niche? It's difficult to suss out where the opportunities are. Also, some of the other freelancers that I know have reported some content theft. Basically, people that have been copy pasting word for word their exact gigs, their content from other sites. Fiverr does a pretty good job of policing this, and it's easy to report, but it does exist. One thing about Fiverr that you probably didn't know, Fiverr Pro, which is the program that is reserved for professional freelancers, businesses, and things of that nature. So you get put into a premium category and you can price gigs a lot higher. Fiverr Pro is an application-only program, and they actually reject the vast majority of those who are applying. They even rejected me after I told them that my business had made over $1 million on Upwork. But here's the secret. You can get rejected, then reapply and still get in later. So just because you get denied for something doesn't mean that it's a no forever. You can still reapply. Now let's talk about the absolute elephant called Upwork. Big and strong, they're an enormous player in the freelance world. They've got over $2.5 billion worth of transactions going through Upwork annually, and they're growing at around 20% per year. On the job side of things, there's a lot of opportunity to specialize in and own a specific niche. Job listings allow you to assess niche demand, and that's something that's very, very different from Fiverr's approach, where you're just kind of guessing at where is the money to be made. At $2.5 billion a year, there's more than enough cheddar to go around. On the client side of things, it's a mixed bag, really. It depends on where you want to focus. Some clients are just very early on, they're very low budget, but there's also tons of business owner clients that have money and want the best. You can be the best even if you're new. Comment below if you want me to cover how to become the one person that dominates in a niche in a future video. On the payment side of things, Upwork has multiple payment options, including some secret ones that I just might cover in a future video. They also have instant pay, which at $2 is pretty fantastic. Granted, it is US only, but it looks like they're rolling it out to other locations. On the ease side of things, Upwork does have an application process for new freelancers. So there is a barrier there, and you need to make sure that your profile is 100% complete before you go through with that application. The platform does require getting the hang of it, and you do need to manage your own engagements. The bonus side of things, Magic X Factor, Upwork, you have great freedom. You can run projects however you want. You can engage with clients kind of however you want. Once you get that really going, invite-only jobs are amazing. There's also hourly protection and escrow, which are wonderful for being absolutely certain that you're going to get paid whenever you do work. So overall, Upwork has a bunch of really great pros to it. 2.5 billion and growing. They're the largest by total volume going through the platform. This is huge, and there's a lot of opportunity there. Their escrow function can be really fantastic and an absolute lifesaver in making sure that you're getting paid whenever you do work. On Upwork, if you know how to master the system, then there is a lot of opportunity for you to win big. Upwork does have US only functionality, and honestly, a lot of the clients that are spending the most amount of money are going to be from the US, so there is a fair amount of US local advantage. Great news for US freelancers, not so great if you're outside the US. Also, Upwork does have some tech issues. Issues with the website being down, apps failing, with messages not loading, not being able to work within contracts. They're fixing it. It's not getting better fast enough though. We'll see what happens in the future. Also with Upwork, you're kind of mostly on your own. You can't advertise your jobs, your gigs, your projects. Most people would probably rate Upwork clients either a 1 or a 2 or a 3. There's a lot of opportunity, but you need to be raising your rate and working with bigger and better clients. There's a strategy to do that. I'm gonna go over it in a future video. Upwork's ease category, I'm trying to be generous because really they should get marked down a little bit more. Now about that one advanced level thing that I promised to tell you about Upwork, honestly, I lied. I'm actually gonna tell you 3 things. Number 1, expert vetted is not actually better. It does give you access to enterprise clients, and Upwork will push you a little bit more to these sort of large budget clients. Think people like Microsoft, Airbnb, what have you. But it's not necessarily better. I know a number of different expert vetted people, and they're not getting work from being expert vetted. So that actually doesn't mean that they have an edge. Here's the second secret. I may get a lot of interview requests and a lot of people reaching out about trying to do their project, but in fact, I take on a lot fewer jobs than almost everybody else in my niche. What does that mean? Volume and doing tons of projects is not necessarily the way to succeed. Number 3, contract titles matter a lot, so much more than you think. This is something that you can only get changed before you actually accept an offer from a client. The way that this plays out is when you have work history that your clients are looking at, you don't want it to show that you are doing something in marketing automation and then partner of something else, and then you've done some data entry work from a contract that was listed for some totally different person, but the client just hired you through that one because they already had a posting up there. Don't do that. I know that it's tempting when, you get the offer and there's money there and it says, oh, but the contract title looks a little weird. Don't do that. You gotta ask to get the contract title changed so that every single job that you've got in your job history is going to be consistent. Again, making you that number one in your niche. If you're getting some value from this video, then you should watch my next one. But wait, how will you know when it comes out? I wish that YouTube had a button somewhere for that. Now here's the challenger. We have Toptal. This is an elite members only group where you have to jump through hoops, go through interviews, and basically slay a dragon to get in. Famously, Toptal only accepts the top 3% of candidates who apply. It's not easy, but let's see if Toptal is worth it. On the jobs front, Toptal is much lower volume, higher dollar. The upside is that you don't have to find clients. Toptal does this for you. Getting invited on Toptal is not the same as on other platforms. Here's Toptal's strategy as I understand it. Basically, tell clients that you're gonna show them 3 to 5 candidates in the next 48 hours for the client to interview. And as a freelancer, when you're on that shortlist, in many cases, the job is basically yours. On the client side of things, Toptal is a premium service and their engagement team vets clients hard. That's not to say that there are some people that are not fully there, if you will. Toptal does a pretty good job of making sure that everybody is beating to the same drum. Very, very good at that. Payments wise, at 4 weeks roughly, Toptal is pretty slow to pay, but they're not the slowest that I've seen. The difference, they don't actually take a cut. You get paid your rate. You set your own rate. There are trial periods on contracts, and I've had first-hand experience with clients not understanding the contract structure. Bear in mind, those are extremely rare cases. On ease, it's not easy to get onto the platform. But if you're a professional already, then it's not as hard as it may seem. It's a couple of interviews and a homework assignment, but you do need to pretend that you're getting paid for it. There is a lot on the line. Once you're on the platform, in terms of getting found by the Toptal team and getting recommended and shortlisted for various candidate positions, there is a very heavy weight on being found via skill tags. So you have to put in a fair amount of effort in making sure that you have basically every single permutation possible of a given skill tag. But this is a kind of set it and just keep an eye on it sort of thing. Once you do get invited, you have to submit an indication of interest. And now this was kind of hard in the past. It was a little bit of a hurdle and it was kind of time consuming, but it's getting a lot better and they're really working pretty hard on their systems to improve things. Speed is also extremely critical. When you get invited to something, you see an email, you see a notification, you have to jump on it, because if you're on that short list of, again, 3 to 5 people, then if you don't respond within 24 hours, just forget it entirely. Magic X Factor, Toptal gets major X Factor points, particularly because they have no contract admin. Their team handles absolutely everything. Pros, if you're somebody who works in the tech, design, finance, or project management space, then basically Toptal is for you. You can make a fantastic living just taking the occasional project, because they're focused on specialized niches and only the top tier of professionals. On the downsides, there is a very high barrier to membership compared with some of the other platforms out there. They're very niche specific and requires having existing expertise if you want to get onto Toptal. The process for onboarding does take weeks. This is not just some 30-minute fill in some blanks and you can get on the platform. It's pretty lengthy. Separately, I've had those issues with clients not understanding payment terms. And unfortunately, what you end up having to do is refer them back to the internal Toptal team. They do handle it, but it's just a little bit of confusion that I think could be easily avoided. One thing that you probably didn't know about Toptal, there are Fight Club rules. There is no discussing contracts with clients. There's no talking about contracts at all. Also, here's an interesting one. Toptal recommended that I lower my rate. Yes, you do initially set your rates on Toptal, but the team actually reached out to me telling me, hey, listen, Evan, you know that you're one of the most expensive people on our platform? I said, yes, and I'm pretty comfortable with that. I just covered a lot, but I know I missed some things, so please leave me a comment down below with which platform you are leaning towards. So if you're new to freelance, here's how to figure out which freelance platform is best for you. First, you want to take inventory. Are you a professional that Toptal is looking for? If not, then sorry, Toptal might just be out of reach for you. Between the two of Upwork and Fiverr, you gotta recognize that niches win. Do you have any existing specialized skills, or are you willing to learn? The highest paying clients aren't hiring the person who dabbles. They want the number one. And there are high rates in every single category. Translation, not everybody has to be an artificial intelligence expert, machine learning genius, or a finance whiz to make tons of money on these platforms. Third, you gotta be honest with yourself. What do you really truly want out of this? Do you wanna make money online on the side? Do you wanna make a full-time income? Do you wanna ditch your 9 to 5 and work from home, work less and earn more? Or are you like me and you wanna be number one in your tiny little corner of the world and build a business and a brand? Once you've defined your goals, start by just focusing on a single platform and just start. Seems like Toptal is the best, right? But just because the numbers look good doesn't mean that it's best for you. If you want accessibility and you just want to get started, put up some gigs and see what happens, then maybe Fiverr is the right move. But for most people who are new to freelance, if Toptal is going to be out of the question, then it really depends on your focus. For me personally, my number one was getting paid on time, every time, as long as I play by the rules. And ultimately, I wanted to build a business that I could eventually step away from. So Fiverr's admin and the whole back and forth and high volume kind of grind aren't really my jam. So in my opinion, the Fiverr juice isn't really worth the squeeze. So my recommendation is this. If you're new, get on Upwork yesterday. If you're already on, up your game as soon as humanly possible. And that's why in the next several videos, I'll be focusing all my energy on showing you the same principles that made me the #1 highest earner worldwide on Upwork, starting with this video right here.